Wondering how you kind of got passionate about otters, because we know you are, because you post lots of pictures and things. Can you tell us how it all started?
Well, I grew up in England, sort of Liverpool and the Lake District, and at that when I was until I came to Jura, otters were kind of mythical creatures. So beautiful, enigmatic, charismatic, but not an animal I expected to see. So my training is plant ecology, and with them being nocturnal mostly in England, I just never came across them. So it wasn't until I came to Jura in 2017 that I saw my first otter, and that was amazing. But I lived some distance from the sea at that point, but when I moved to Small Isles Bay a year or two later, then I began to see them regularly. I was a smoker at the time, and I liked sunrises, so I used to find myself outside, sort of on the coastal rocks at 5 o'clock in the morning. And one morning, sort of beautiful sunrise, and a mature female otter kind of swam by, and then I was hooked from that moment onwards, really. And it was about the next year, there was a lockdown, so COVID lockdown started, and the female otter suddenly appeared with a young cub. It was about 5 or 6 months old, and I watched them almost every day for the next 2 years. So I mean, during COVID, the roads were a lot quieter. There were much fewer people about, and the otters were a lot more confident to be. So it was great to see them. And during that time, I also got to know another pair, sort of down here on the sound of Jura. And there's a lot of fish in the Sound of Jura, a lot, and they were really fat and happy and relaxed, and just wonderful experiences watching them there too.
Okay, so how does this passion and interest develop further in your kind of watching of otters?
Well, during lockdown, as I said, I had the great privilege of being able to spend time with these amazing animals, and I read up about them and about their ecology when there were things that I didn't understand, the social interactions and social structure, and so distinguishing male from female, and all of those, what they ate, and all of those kinds of details, and the more I learned and read about them, either through watching them or reading up about them, the more I found them fascinating creatures, and they're so playful as well. They're very funny to watch sometimes, and very affectionate with each other as well. Although the fights are quite, it can be quite violent too. The territorial battles. So every aspect of their lives I found fascinating, and there's something about watching wildlife that is all-encompassing. When you're doing it, time just stops, and you think, I'm starving, hungry, and really need the loo. So 5 hours later, so I go out at least once a week, usually twice a week. It depends on the weather. And work and various things, but so the only conditions I don't go out in are heavy rain, because my camera just doesn't like it.
Your field crafting in order to get close to them, do you have any specific kind of methods?
Absolutely. There's hard-earned lessons. But it should always be downwind of the otters, because they've got an excellent sense of smell. In fact, I read a story about a guy who was he'd built up a relationship with a local otter, but all of a sudden the local otter wouldn't have anything to do with him, and he realised it's because he'd changed his deodorant. So no strong smelling creams, no scented deodorants, all of that. Keep downwind of them. Their eyesight isn't particularly good, but they can detect movement really well. So one of the best, if you find somewhere where you can tell they're frequenting, it's a good idea to just get there and get a bit of cover and lie down flat in waterproof so that you don't mind getting sprinty and various things, and wait. And if you do have to move, otters dive for about 20 seconds. Unless they catch something, you always get caught. You quite often get caught up, but in general, they dive for about 20 seconds. So if you do have to move, you kind of do it in stages while they're underwater. Yeah. What other field tips? Well, the equipment, binoculars, essential. Head net in summer because they'll smell smidge. Yeah. So here you can see a pile of dark coloured fresh spray there on what is spot. You can tell that it's been used repeatedly over generations because the grass is it's all been sort of bleached around about. And what I think has happened is that an otter has sort of come along enjoying all the plentiful supply of food from the Isle of Jura here and the currents, which are very rich, and it's brought its catch onto the rocks below, and then it's moved up here to spraint. And they'll spraint in prominent positions to mark the territory, and it's a form of, it's like email for otters. They can smell, they can gather a lot of information from the spraint. The age of the otter, the sex of the otter, if it's expectant with cubs, and we can get a lot of information from it as well. Dark spraint means that it's fresh. When it's white, it's old. But also, if it's a kind of a pinky colour, it implies that it's a young cub, sprained to be young cub, because they feed mostly on crab, and they don't have the dexterity of the mature otters, which quite often feed in the water. The adult otters, but young ones always bring crab, whatever they catch ashore. Classic example of spraint in a really prominent position here on this promontory.
So Fiona, can you pick out any kind of standout moments of those kind of experiences of when you've been out watching?
There are so many. So many. From an ecologically interesting point of view, I think I have, if not the first, then one of the few rare examples of footage of a male cub trying to mount its mother, with the biting on the neck and they split not long after. The mother wasn't impressed, and they split not long after. But I do have footage of that, and that was quite interesting. And also, they're traditionally considered to be solitary animals, but that hasn't been my experience at all. I think normally a male otter's territory is about 10 kilometres. 10 or 15 kilometres, and a female is about 3 kilometres, and there are usually several females of breeding age within a male's territory. And in my experience, the father has always been somewhere in the vicinity, if not travelling further afield to check on his territory. He's quite often been in the vicinity of a mum with cubs, and occasionally even play together. But the females, especially if they're related, they babysit for each other.
Oh, okay.
And that's really interesting because in this area, in the Isle of Jura, I've seen six otters together, a mum and two cubs, another mum and two cubs, and the father sort of in the vicinity of one of them. That's
really
fascinating. Yeah, all tumbling in the water. what other things? And another some of the close encounters have been really special. Like coastal walls can be quite interesting if you're patient. It gives you good cover to be able to watch them, so they don't get spooked. Obviously, if they spot you, your experience of that, they're not going to be happy, and their meal might be disturbed or the rest might be disturbed, which is not legal. But also your experience of them is curtailed. So if the aim is always for them not to spot you, but occasionally it happens, even with the best of intentions, it happens. But when they don't, when they're relaxed and you're watching natural behaviour, and quite close up too, so you can see the whiskers and the yawns and the groomings, and amazing to watch.